Hello there guys, Eric John here for Forever Football DRFC, your Doncaster Rovers fan channel. This is your daily reports. We do have the preview on Friday, tomorrow, for the Northampton game, so stay tuned for that because there's a particular story in today's video that may link to the preview with injury updates, so stay tuned for that tomorrow. But today's all about speaking about a couple of things. So we're going to be talking about Coppinger wanting a bounce back from this team. You know, it's not all plain sailing. We can go back-to-back wins and everything's grand, but it's all about how you bounce back from defeats. So we're going to look at his comments to the Yorkshire Post, because I absolutely agree with what he said. We're also going to be looking into Amadou Bakayoko, the Coventry City striker who he was linked with in January, and the fact that he is set to be let go in the summer by Coventry on a free transfer, according to the 72 Wheel of the Football League. Also, we're going to be looking at the injury updates going into the Northampton game from Omar Bogle, from Fajiri Okunabiri, from Reece James, and of course John Bostock, who were injured during that game. We're also going to be looking at an article, the 166 Championship free agent players in the summer. So make sure you go and check the article out. It's from Fanbanter. I'll link in the description down below. We're not going to go through the whole list of players on out of contract from the Championship. We're just going to be looking at a few picks that me and another Rovers fan called Daniel were discussing about last night. And we were sort of discussing about who could be realistic picks. And I've sort of picked out the positions that I would want to improve in if I was Andy Butler. So, and I'll tell you the reasons why. So it's a big video today. Let's get straight into this. We're going to start with those Championship free agent players. So, basically, what I wanted to do with this is sort of pick out the positions that I feel like we need to improve in. And I've got it all written down as to why as well. So I've picked out 4 positions in general. So I've picked out the goalkeeper position because I think we still need a second goalkeeper to go alongside Lewis Jones. Does he start over Lewis Jones? Maybe, maybe not. We wasn't sure who we'd pick out of this one. So make sure you go check out the article in the description down below and try and find some goalkeepers that you think would be great free agent signings to go alongside Lewis Jones, our academy goalkeeper. Whether you think they should start ahead of Lewis Jones or not. I think Lewis Jones should get the number 1 shirt. So if you can find any goalkeepers that would be on the same level for the number 1 shirt, if not back up to Lewis Jones, then look through the article and then comment down below your picks from that list. But the other 3 positions we did pick some players out for was right back, because I think we need competition for Charlie Seaman and Brad Halliday, plus Charlie Seaman can play on the wing as well, so he's quite versatile, as is Brad Halliday, so you do need an extra right back to provide that competition. We've got the centre attacking midfield position, because of course Telly Richards' loan deal will expire at the end of the season and go back to Brighton Hove and Albion. In my personal opinion, if I was to pick any club that Telly Richards would go to, I'm sorry to say it, I think he would fit in at Sheffield Wednesday. I think he was a regular under Darren Moore when he was at Doncaster Rovers, so I think that he'd be a good pick for Sheffield Wednesday, whether they stay up or go down to League One. But I picked out the cam position for that particular reason, and also if Coppinger retires at the end of this season, I think he will, but I think, even if he doesn't do a U-turn, I think we are looking at a cam position anyway, so I think it will give Ed Williams more game time, but I think we still need one more cam. And also striker, because I feel like with Bogle, Okunabiri, obviously John Jules going back to Arsenal, Tulloch's already gone back to West Brom, so we do need another striker. We do need a clinical striker. So we've listed players in those 3 positions, and this was Daniel's picks. So for the right back position, he's picked out Matt Olasunde from Rotherham United and DeMarco Duhansi from Huddersfield Town. Now Olasunde, in my opinion, will probably get a brand new deal from Rotherham. If he doesn't, he'd be a wonderful first team choice. I think he'll be really competing with Brad Halliday for that number 1 spot. He's a good Championship player. He's the kind of quality we need in this squad. If we go up this season, he's the kind of quality we'd need at that level. If we don't go up this season, he's the kind of level that would take us up to Championship next season. And with Duhansi, on the other hand, I think he's a long-term option. He's not just competing for the first spot with Halliday and Seaman. I think that Duhansi could be a good long-term option. You've got to remember, he's very, very young, so he's still got time to develop, like Cameron John, like Jason Lakilo, like so many players in the squad, he's still got time to develop. So I think that Duhansi would be a good long-term option, but if you want a good first-team right now option near his prime, you're looking at Matt Olasunde as the pick. Looking in the cam position, Daniel's picked out 2 players in particular for this position. Now, one of them is a long shot, and one of them is only if the wages we can afford. The long-term option that I think could be an interesting route, but it depends on how long the operations go with this contract, is Anis Mehmeti from Wycombe Wanderers. Now, I've seen him play a couple of times for Wycombe. Obviously, Wycombe's not had the best of seasons, but you've got to remember it is the Championship after all. And, you know, I think Wycombe looked into it and they were kind of out of depth in their league. I don't think they'll get rid of Gareth Ainsworth. I think it's all but confirmed they're going to be relegated back down to League One. But they won't get rid of Gareth Ainsworth. If they want to keep their long-term stars, Mehmeti is one of them. But if they let him go, I think he'd be a great option. I think he'd be a good long-term option, along with the likes of Ed Williams, and you know, I think he'd be a good good future star as well. If you want a prime star, if we can afford the wages, then Alan Halilovic from Birmingham City would be the option. He would be the one that picks out for me. Another one for experience would be Jamie Patterson. I think he'd be great. I think he's like 28 years old, so you know, he's a good prime cam as well. And I think if we could afford him, I think he'd be great as well. But Halilovic would be my choice. I think he's got that quality about him. He's got that extra special quality about him. And, you know, he could add that certain level of quality to that squad, like Bostock has. I think Halilovic would be a good quality signing. So Patterson would be one of my picks as well. But Halilovic and Mehmeti, I agree with Daniel on that. And for the striker position, we've got a few listed here. We've got Famara Diédiou from Bristol City. I think that's a good experienced signing. I think that he's a good target man forward. He's exactly what we need. It's the kind of forward that Bogle is. And Okunabiri, you know, is that quick forward. But you've got a nice target man in Diédiou, could score a good few goals for us. Ashley Fletcher from Middlesbrough. Now, this is a very ambitious signing in my opinion. I agree with Daniel. I think it's a very ambitious signing. I think he's got some extra special quality about him. I do see him signing a new deal with Middlesbrough though. So if he doesn't, then maybe. Now this one's an interesting pick. A former Arsenal striker and current Huddersfield Town striker. He doesn't get used by Huddersfield really. But I think he'd be a very under the radar signing. I think he could be great. Yaya Sanogo. Now I know Arsenal fans will be like, no, don't take that risk. Don't take that risk. But if I know this club, we can get anything out of anyone. Look at Omar Bogle, for example. He barely scored for Wigan, for Charlton, in Europe. We've got the first goal out of him. And once he gets back from injury, which I'll talk about later in the video, we know we can get the best out of him. So I think that's the same story here with Yaya Sanogo. If we're going to play with if we're going to stick with the 4-2-3-1, we're looking probably to... And you look at Okunabiri, by the way. He's not usually playing up front under Butler straight away. You know, obviously he's injured at the minute. But, you know, you notice when it's Bogle and Okunabiri in the squad, Bogle's up front, Okunabiri's on the wing, opposite Sims or Taylor or Lakilo, with Richards or Coppinger in the middle usually. So you've got to look at that and think, well, Okunabiri is going to be on the wing. So for the striker position, you're looking at Bogle competing with Sanogo if Sanogo is the pick. And Yaya Sanogo, in my opinion, is a wonderful signing. I think he's got that kind of experience about him, having played for the likes of Arsenal and barely played for Huddersfield. So I think he's got that experience. And also he's played in Europe as well. He's got that European flair about him, and that's going to be a really great signing. It's all about if we can afford him or not. That's going to be the worry with me with that one. But Sanogo would be definitely a good pick. Another realistic pick that was picked out, and it's someone we're going to go on to talk about in a little bit, is Amadou Bakayoko from Coventry City. Now, of course, my opinion, I think he'd be best going to Swindon. And that's no disrespect to him. That's just in my opinion. I think there's other options out there that we should go for. You've got to think, in the January window, we were linked to Bakayoko. We were under Darren Moore at that point. So he may not be a Butler signing. So, in my opinion, I think he's best suited for Swindon Town. But that's looking at some of those picks. Again, the link will be in the description of this video. Go and check it out. Go and comment down below your picks from the free agency. Your dream picks, your realistic picks. Go comment them down below. It would really mean a lot. Speaking of Amadou Bakayoko, we've got a bit of news from Coventry City out there since we were linked to him. We better talk about it, and it could link into who we could buy in the summer, even though I did say he's not a Butler signing in my opinion. But Coventry City's Bakayoko is fully expected to leave on a free transfer this summer, as per a report by Coventry Live. He was linked with Doncaster Rovers and Swindon Town back in January, according to the journalist Alan Nixon at the time. Obviously the tweet back then on January 24th was Coventry, striker Bakayoko, Doncaster moving ahead of Swindon in the race. We were ahead of him in the race, and I think that was per our interest in him. I think that, he had that extra interest compared to Swindon. But in my personal opinion, he's not the signing that I think we should go for, in my opinion. And that's nothing against him, it's just my personal thoughts. Let's go then into the Yorkshire Post with James Coppinger's comments, backing Andy Butler to ensure Rovers bounce back. Now, you've got to think. Now, this is why, even though we lost last night, this is why I wasn't going completely mad, because we're still in a wonderful position. Yes, I said players underperformed. I think John, apart from going forward, John underperformed. But he can be a great left back. He can improve in that position. We just need to give him time to develop. I think some fans on social media just didn't have the time to let John develop. I think they've been really, hard on John. And, you guys are probably going to comment down below and saying, oh my God, you're sticking up for Cameron John. You usually don't like him as a left back. But when players are getting the abuse that they're getting, I'll stand up for them. I might not like Cameron John as a left back. I prefer him as a centre back. I think him as a left back, in my opinion, is square pegs round holes. But if they're getting complete abuse, I'll stand up for them and I'll say, you know what, you're overstepping the mark. You can say players underperformed on that particular day, but you can't completely go into them, especially with the position that we're in as a team and the squad we've got and the morale we've got at the minute. It's just very negative. So, I might not like John as a left back. I prefer him as a centre back, and he goes forward quite a lot, and he can get caught out of position quite a bit, which is obviously one of my problems with John as a left back. But if he's getting abuse on the scale that I've heard of and I've seen, and fans have told me about it as well, I'll stand up for Cameron John and say, you know what, you're overstepping a mark. Stop it. And, Cameron John is a good player for the future. I think he's not just a player for now. He's a great long-term player. So I think fans just need to be a little bit, wary of what they're saying. I think fans need to be a little bit wary. Just think of the position we're in. Think of it as one bad result. It's not the end of the world. It's one bad result. We move on. And James Coppinger shares that bounce back interest. He ensures Butler can bounce us back. Against Northampton, starting with Northampton on Saturday, and that's his report in the Yorkshire Post. Now, James Coppinger officially stated in the Yorkshire Post, his comments officially about the situation were, it's easy when things are going your way and you have 2 back-to-back wins and everyone is happy and coming into training, laughing and joking, everything is good. But as soon as you get a defeat, it's about how you bounce back and do things on a training pitch, recovery, and doing everything right to approach the next game, which is, of course, Northampton, who were, even though they lost against Charlton last night, earlier this week, they were a rejuvenated side. And they beat they battered Portsmouth. So, it's all about how you bounce back against these teams. Northampton on a bad run of form. We lost a game on Tuesday. We've got to both bounce back, and it's going to be a competitive match. Now, of course, he went on to say he's taken the bells and he's always been planning. When we've been on away trips, he has not had his head in a book, been planning sessions and speaking to people. I always thought he would go into it in terms of management. It's about trying to take the opportunities they don't come along that often. I think there'll be people queuing up to take this job and he will be one of them. He's always leaned on me when we've been friends for 4 or 5 seasons and worked and roomed together and have been successful and experienced everything. I'd like to think he trusts my opinion. I'm not always right, and neither is he. If he can help this club do well and be successful, that is what it is about. And that is exactly what he's talking about. I agree with Coppinger. Might not agree on everything, but it's all about making this club successful. And that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do. Make it successful in the right way possible. And this is what I mean with the abuse of players like Cameron John and Magic Gomez. Magic Gomez, in my opinion, it was out of position. Let's take that into account. It was out of position. He was trying. I did say on the review he was trying. But the abuse I see getting of Magic Gomez is on a scale that I didn't think I want to see. So when it comes to things like this, I will stand up and say, yes, you didn't perform well on the night, but you shouldn't deserve that kind of abuse. No way in a million years. So Magic Gomez and Cameron John, I stand by you, mates. And, we're all one club here. Fans shouldn't be doing that, and fans need to learn to not think it's the end of the world just for one result. We're still in a great position with the games in hand. We're still approaching top 2. Peterborough on a bad run of form. Hull got back to winning ways against Peterborough. Lincoln have dropped points against Ipswich. Sunderland could go on a bad run of form at some point. Portsmouth are on a bad run of form. You know, there's an opportunity here to take advantage of all that. If Sunderland go on a bad run of form at some point, Sunderland fans will comment down below and say, no, we're not. But you never know. You know, when we were winning 8 wins out of 9, I thought we were on a great run of form. It was never going to end. It's going to end at some point. And Sunderland fans need to learn that. Other fans need to learn that. And, you know, they need to look at the bigger picture and think, well, if Sunderland are going to go on a bad run of form at some point, you know, obviously they've got Tranmere at the weekend in the, I think it's the Papa John's Trophy final, and then I think it's Portsmouth Salford for the for another trophy, like the FA Trophy or something like that. But Sunderland are facing Tranmere at Wembley on Saturday. They're not playing. This is a perfect chance now to gain that form over Sunderland, and we've got the games in hand to do it. So, you absolutely know this is going to be crucial now. And I still think we can get promoted, either automatic or through the playoffs. I still think it is possible. Finally then, I did get a notification from Doncaster Rovers Twitter as recording this, by the way, so I will check out what that is after this final report. But we've got an update on Bogle, Okunabiri, Bostock and James after the injuries in the crew match. So Omar Bogle, as confirmed by the Coventry team at the start of the match, he's confirmed to be out with a hamstring injury. I believe, I was watching the match, and I also had the Football Heaven commentary on as well, because I like to hear different opinions on what's happening in the game. And Bogle's, according to them, is going to be missing for a couple of weeks. So it will be a couple of games. I mean, he might be back. We don't know yet. We don't know. But my opinion is it's going to be a couple of weeks, but it might be recovered. Who knows? But you know, we're looking at a couple of weeks here with Bogle at maximum. So Bogle's going to be out for a couple of weeks maximum. Apparently Butler said to the Free Press, Omar felt his hamstring a little bit after Saturday's game. We've just got to manage him. He's done a lot of work, played a lot of football in the last 4 games compared to not playing much before that. Now, obviously with other injuries, with Fajiri Okunabiri, we had to look at it before the weekend along with Fage. Hopefully they're both in contention. We'll know more later in the week. It was touch and go with Fajiri Okunabiri apparently. He's seen the doctor earlier in the day, so it was touch and go. We thought he might have a chance, but it was just a slight inflammation on his foot. Now, James and Bostock were forced off injured in the second half against Crewe Alexandra. They hadn't had a chance to speak to the physio, but he thinks Reece has taken a knock to his calf. And John has a bit of groin twinge, so he brought them both off. Obviously, it was a precaution. With John, it was a no-brainer bringing him off. He's got a slight injury, and the same with Reece, just with little impact injuries. Other than that, then it's a few tired legs. It's about managing players. Games coming thick and fast. And it's about managing game time. There's a lot of effort going to the last 2 games, and the high-intensity running has gone up a bit. We have to be wary of the little injuries that come from that. That is what Butler said. So, it looks like it's just impact injuries, which is a great thing in the long term. And overall, we're looking here probably at just those impact injuries. So whether they're on the bench for Saturday's game or they completely miss Saturday's game, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see what the preview is going to look like. So stay tuned for that. Now, we do have a bit of breaking news as of recording this. On April 2nd at 12:30 on Sky Sports, our game with Charlton Athletic has been selected for television. So very, very exciting stuff there with that one. Just a little update there. And, you know, it's wonderful to get that television time. It's showtime. It's time to, you know, show what we are on a live television screen and not let that throw us off our game. So there we go, a little bit of a breaking news update to end the video there. A lot of things spoken about in this video, but thank you very much guys for watching this daily report. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for the preview for Northampton tomorrow, and for now guys, that is full time. Rovers till I die, let's get 3 points on Saturday.